Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So a few remarks maybe in no specific. On the ground in Ukraine, and I travel around a lot, including to the eastern regions, it doesn't feel like we're anywhere close to a ceasefire. The war continues unabated, and there is really significant destruction going on the one hand of infrastructure in the energy side, which I'll come back to you in a minute, but also people's lives are being damaged, people are being killed and injured. So it's relentless in those terms. And there have been moments of cautious optimism. At the moment, I don't sense any optimism that we're getting closer to ending this terrible tragedy. As winter has started, we are particularly worried about the winter. And the big worry is people potentially getting stuck in high-rise buildings in cities. I think we're doing quite well in terms of what we call winterization support as a humanitarian community, including the UN, reaching vulnerable people in rural areas. We are worried about the nightmare scenario of continued energy destruction and the recovery not holding pace with that destruction, and in the middle of a harsh winter, people getting stuck in cities, in high-rise buildings. We've had an example of this a few weeks ago in Sumy Oblast, Sumy region, where a city of 40,000 people was cut off for several days, and this was getting critical. The authorities were starting to think through evacuations of those people. Fortunately, that was avoided, but the nightmare scenario, as we are in middle of winter now, is as it were a catastrophe within a catastrophe. On this theme of humanitarian and development work at the same time, some interesting, innovative work of combining humanitarian demining with agricultural recovery. So again, in the middle of war, NGOs, government, UN support are demining agricultural fields, and then the UN, FAO and others, WFP, are helping farmers back onto their land. So there is this hope that is being kept alive of a better future. Having said that, I think it's also important that we don't romanticize resilience. We speak a lot about Ukraine as an example of resilience, and it certainly is, and I hope the 2-3 examples I've given illustrate that. But of course, in year 4, the population is getting wary and war-tired, and we will have to see how that plays out. There remain red lines in terms of the future, such as giving up territory or elections in wartime, but people are getting tired, and that will influence whatever the receptance to whatever deal might come out in the future. One of those is negotiations and deals cannot lead to the ceding of territory, whether currently occupied by the Russian armed forces of the Russian Federation or not. So there is this sense of defiance. Negotiations cannot, whether we are at the table or not. A red line is anything that has to do with giving up territory. Another red line, and I'm quoting officials here, but I hear this also from ordinary citizens, is no elections during wartime. So with all the pressure the country is under, with the carnage that is being done, there's a strong sense of we want this to end, but not at all cost. Like the last time I went to Donetsk Oblast 10 days ago or so, we drove through kilometers of the road being covered by fish nets, basically, because that apparently avoids drones with cameras being as effective as they could be. But people I spoke to on the ground, so humanitarian, we work with more than 400 NGOs implementing the actual services on the ground, many of them Ukrainian, and that's what they talk about. Their biggest worry, the biggest threat to their work is drone attacks, targeting them very directly.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to Mirror Now.